Hey, what's up guys, this is Sky495 here reviewing a digital tire pressure gauge by KOMVOX. If you've been following along with my channel, I had previously reviewed another tire pressure gauge. That one showed the measurement via a needle, and unfortunately that one didn't really work very well. It just couldn't hold the pressure mark, so I was on the lookout for a new tire pressure gauge and I stumbled upon this one. This one is multi-featured. It has 4-in-1 functions, so I'm always on the lookout for very innovative and creative devices that can incorporate more than one feature, so this is really interesting to me. So the 4 features are of course the tire pressure gauge, and then there's also a car window breaker so that the actual metal portion would actually protrude upon impact. So that's an interesting feature. I'm not too sure how effective that would work out because I couldn't really get it to come out when I was just testing it out on the table, but I didn't really want to try it on a real window. But you're probably not going to buy this for the window breaker, so I'd probably just move past that feature. And then the next feature is actually the ability to read a micro SD card. I don't know why they would just try to randomly put in that feature, but it actually does work. So if you had some kind of need to have a micro SD card reader, well, here you go. And then on the side, it also has 2 full-size USB ports. So if you really wanted to, you can also charge devices through this thing because it has a little extension piece right here, which is also used to charge up this digital gauge. So with the extension plugged into your car auxiliary port, you can charge up to 2 more USB devices, and you can also remove this extension piece and just leave that part plugged in, and then you can power one USB powered device via this port. And then there's actually one tiny bonus feature, I guess. There's this little fake compass here, and I say it's fake because it pretty much doesn't work. It's one of those real cheap ones that they just put it in for a little bit of a flair, but it's not added into this 4-count multi-feature. But of course, the star of the show is the tire pressure gauge feature, and if this doesn't work, there's really no point in buying this. So when I originally tested it out, I pressed it against my tire valve for about maybe 1 second. This is approximately the same duration as I had tested it with my previous tire pressure gauge, the Jayco one, and I was able to get a reading on that one. It just didn't hold the reading, but in this case, it just didn't give me a reading at all after that 1 second of press. So at first, I thought this was broken, and I reached out to the company, and they told me that you actually have to hold it for about 2 to 3 seconds for it to register. So afterwards I gave it another shot, and it indeed did give me a reading. And you're able to see the reading in units of course PSI, bar, kilopascals, and then kilograms per centimeter squared. So after I found out that it actually does work, I went ahead to see the accuracy and the precision. So unfortunately, there's no way to press the button and reset the reading, so you actually have to turn it off and then turn it back on. So I first tested out its precision, so that is how consistent the readings are if I give it the same kind of pressure. So with the same tire, I just turn it back off and turn it back on, and it got a very similar reading, just 0.5 psi lower, and that's understandable because I am letting a little bit of air out when I'm taking this reading. And even though the precision is down to the 10th place, it's actually not exactly a 10th of a psi because of the fact that you can only get a 0 or a 5 in that decimal position. So it's really only precise to half a psi. But for most people, I think this is not an issue. So after a few more of these kinds of tests, I did think that this is relatively precise. So then I move on to my second test, and that would be accuracy. So that means how close is it to the actual pressure in my tires. So my baseline for this is my compressor that I use to pump up my tires here. I also did a review on this one. I really do like this compressor. So I use this to gauge also the pressure reading there. So since my tire pressures were quite low, I just went ahead to pump it up to its 32.5 rating. And then afterwards, I took it off and then I measured out using the KOMVOX pressure gauge, and it did get a very similar rating, so it's definitely quite accurate. And I tried this on multiple tires and it's pretty good. So I have to say I'm quite impressed with this digital pressure gauge. I wasn't really sure if this would work out or not, but I am so glad that it did. For one thing, it is able to be charged using the car port or even through a USB port, so it makes it really easy to keep the battery replenished as opposed to a coin battery that's found in most other digital pressure gauges. The only suggestion I have for the company is to have some kind of indicator light, maybe the screen coming on when it's charging, just to know that it is receiving a charge, because otherwise I would have no idea. Its small size also means it's really easy to store, so you can either put it into the glove box of your car, or what I like to do is put it in the center console of my car with all my other stuff, and that way I can easily access it if I want to just quickly check the pressure in my tires before, say, on a long road trip. So I'm happy to report that this is the one I'll be keeping as my permanent tire pressure gauge. As you can see, it has a really nice closed design, so it's less likely for dust and debris to go ahead and get into this device and offset the values, unlike the Jayco one, which is a little bit too open in my opinion. I do like that it's digital and easily rechargeable, so I think this makes it a really great buy, and it's not expensive at all. As usual, I'll put the link to this in the description down below. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please give it a like, it'd be greatly appreciated, and make sure to subscribe to my channel Skyforce95 if you haven't already to get more content like this. Or if you're watching this on Amazon, head over to my channel URL right here, or just search it up on YouTube Skyforce95. There you'll see a bunch of my product reviews and unboxings. Feel free to browse, or if you want to search for something specific, just hit that search field. That'll do it for this video. This is Skyforce95. Thanks for watching.